Hey guys, how's it going? A couple days ago, Hank Green uploaded this video where he was talking about this clip from an interview with JD Vance, where they were talking about UFOs. These released footage from American fighter pilots and such of objects in the air that suddenly seem to break the laws of physics or move in like a technology that just seems to be way beyond Earth. And in this video, JD Vance, in this interview, JD Vance says, I don't believe they're UFOs, I believe they're demons. So Mr. Hank Green, hello, if you are watching, made this video discussing that topic. And Hank Green is very clear that his point is not to make a commentary on Christian theology or on demonology at all. But that's what I'm responding to. So first, I would like to respond to some of the points that Hank makes in regards to political science and game theory, because he makes a very good point, and I actually have to agree for the most part with what he has to say. He talks about how blaming events in the world or problems that we face on something beyond us. Hank's words are on this, great war between invisible forces, between good and evil, the forces of good and evil, right? If we're discussing some kind of war like that, that is a very useful tool from a political standpoint, from a game theoretical standpoint. If your goal is to get more power, and you can take something that's your responsibility and shirk that responsibility onto something like a demon, something that is beyond anybody's power, like that's a powerful tool. And that is a very scary tool. That is a tool that is most certainly an irresponsible tool. And so I think Hank Green makes a really good point when discussing that point about how we really need to be aware of that kind of behavior and how that can be a manipulation that maybe, I don't know that that's what JD Vance was doing. I don't know, but that kind of thing does happen, and it's a very powerful tool. I have a minor in political science. So what I know is that we can study governments and politics, and we can come up with strategies that will better our end. That's something that we can do using our intellect, using our powers of, the main one being, like I said, political science right now, uses those tools. And this is something that would be a very powerful tool for that. But Mr. Green also talks a bit about demonology. He mentions how when he's not Christian anymore, but he remembers growing up as a Christian, that they talk about a lot of loving God and loving neighbor and these kind of really positive things, and don't really talk about demons and this great war or anything like that very much. And that's true. That is, in my experience too, that is not something, demons in general are not something that Christians talk much about. But what I want to get into now is a bit of what Christian demonology, at least Catholic demonology, really looks like, and what we really need to be concerned about it. Because here's one big thing. If people are like JD Vance or anybody else in politics are using their Catholicism as some kind of tool to shirk their own responsibilities, that is a gross bastardization of faith and what we really are worried about. Particularly what we're worried about when we talk about demons. So I want to get into that a little bit. I want to talk about what we actually mean by demons, what we're talking about when we talk about demons, what they are, what do Catholics teach, what does the Catholic Church teach us that demons are, and why we as Catholics should be concerned about them, and why, Mr. Green, if you're watching, it is not something that should be used as a tool against either rationality, science, or definitely not against responsibility. So, first off, according to the Catholic Church, Mr. Hanks talks about Mr. Green, you brought up this point of there is, easy explanations for reality, and then there's hard explanations for reality. And what you put as the hard explanation for reality is science. The reason you pose that as the hard explanation is that science is a process of discovery in which we discover reality on reality's terms. We can't decide, we can't manipulate, we can't try and make up what these things are. It is reality that determines how we learn these things, right? Because reality is a certain way, we have to concede that it is that way. And I'd agree that we have the responsibility to do that. But what I disagree about is that is necessarily separate or uninclusive to the Catholic conception of reality. See, as Catholics, we believe that we need to use our intellect. We believe that we need to use science. The philosopher Francis Bacon established some of the first formalized methods of the scientific method because things like the Hippocratic method of medicine failed him because he lost children to diseases that he shouldn't have lost children to, that they shouldn't have died from, if we had used our brains, if we had actually studied these things and were working on finding a method that actually works for saving people. However, as Catholics, we believe that there is more to reality than just the strict physical reality. There is a fact of reality that is non-physical and that we interact with. Now, the Catholic Church holds that there are two kinds of entities that are purely spirit. That is, that there's no physicality to them. Now, by entities, I'm talking about agents, right? What we normally think of as spirits, not like in philosophy, we would say that numbers are a noumenal concept. That is, they're a non-physical concept that is true within reality. That's not the kind of thing I'm talking about. I'm talking about these spirits. There are basically two. There's two different kinds. There is God at the pinnacle of all things, and there are angels. Now, angels subdivided into two different groups. The angels that stay listening to God, that follow his will and serve his will, and the angels who rebelled against God and did not wish to serve his will. These second kinds of angels, these are what we call demons. Demons are nothing more than angels, spiritual beings created to be servants of God who have decided they hate God and they do not want to serve him. And that is a choice they made of their own free will. Now, because they chose something other than God, because they hate God, because they chose against God, what they have, what they do is rather than serve God, they seek to destroy God and his will in what he wants, to happen with the world and the people and people. And that means that they hate me and you. Especially the more we try and serve God, the more we want to bring about God's will, the more they hate us. It's not this big grand war between good and evil. I actually want to tie that into a bit of the season we're in right now, the season of Easter. The season of Easter is actually the celebration of the end of the war. If you ever want to say that there was a war, it's over. It's been over for 2,000 years. And that was because Jesus conquered sin. Basically what happened is that Jesus came along. He died, he suffered the consequence of sin and offered that death to God the Father in a way that redeems us all. Now, getting back to demons. Demons just hate us because they hate God and everything that is for God. What that doesn't mean is that there's this grand, elaborate plan trying to bring about the destruction of, be it the good forces of good, and that there's this war between the forces of good and the forces of evil. No, what it is that there are agents that God created that don't want to follow him. What that means for me and you, and this is what's really important, this is the Catholic emphasis, and this is why politicians trying to use the existence of demons or anything like that as a leverage and tool in their practice or in their pursuit of power, if they were to do that, if they do that, and I'm sure that there are those who do, and historically, those who have, because that's not really what the church cares about and is worrying about in terms of demons. See, demons want the destruction of your soul as an individual. See, our objective in the spiritual life, in being good humans, in trying to become closer to God, is just that, trying to become closer to God. Trying to be good humans, trying to be upright and moral. And we need to be careful of demons because they don't want those things. They seek to destroy those things. It's not that there's some great overarching plan or war going on between good and evil. There are demons. As Catholics, we believe that there are demons. But using the existence of demons and using our belief in demons as a political tool is very disingenuous to what our faith is and to what the real issue is with demons and what the real fear of demons is. We really ought to be worried about ourselves and our own powers to be upright people as individuals. That's what demons are really after. Hey guys, how's it going? Been a while since I uploaded, about 40 days or 6-7 weeks, something like that. I basically ended up not uploading throughout any of Lent, but now it is Easter and I am uploading again. So if you guys like my video, liked this content, please hit the like button, comment, let me know if you want to hear more of this kind of thing. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, debates, arguments, whatever it is, please comment. I want to hear about it. And if you want to see more content like this brought up in your feed, do hit the subscribe button. That way I will be recommended to you each time I upload a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and God bless.